Good afternoon, everyone. The meeting for the Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure will now come to order. Would the committee secretary please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Brown May.
Here.
Assemblyman Ellison. Assemblyman Levitt. Assemblyman Miller.
Here.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Here.
Assemblyman Roberts.
Here.
Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Here.
Assemblyman Watts.
Here.
Assemblyman Wheeler.
Here.
Assemblyman Yeager.
Here.
Chairman Roe Moreno.
And I am here. I know that this is hearings week. A number of our members have bill hearings, and if our two members that are not present currently, Assemblyman Ellison and Assemblyman Levitt, do not show up, they will be marked absent. But right now, they're absent excused, and as soon as they do show up, I will let you know, Madam Secretary. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's meeting for the Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. Today, we will be holding hearings on 4 bills, and I promise we won't be here 5 hours like we were on Tuesday. I promise. But before we get the meeting started, I'll just briefly go over the virtual meetings and how they're happening in our building. As everyone knows that's watching us virtually, the legislative building remains closed to the public, so our meetings are being held virtually. Committee members, staff, and everyone else will be participating through Zoom or by telephone. For the committee members, I ask that you silence your phones. It helps to keep the background noise to a minimum, and it helps with the meeting minutes. And keep your cameras on so that we can maintain a quorum. When you speak, committee members, please state your name for the record. Our committee secretary cannot see us and may not recognize our voice, so please state your name each and every time for the record. Members of the public who wish to testify and present public comment, you may do so by either calling in, and the number is listed on Nellis, or you can submit your comments to us in writing. There will be a public comment period, which will be at the end of today's meeting. So in the interest of time, we will go to our first item on our agenda, which will be Assembly Bill 150, and we will open the hearing for Assembly Bill 150. And I believe DMV, there you are, is in the room. You can start at any time. We'll open the hearing on Assembly Bill 150.
All right. Thank you, Chair. And good afternoon, committee members. This is Sean Sever from the DMV. And thank you for letting us present AB 150 to you today. This bill is a result of the Commission on Special License Plates voting unanimously to draft a legislative bill that would give the DMV the ability to suspend or terminate a special license plate pursuant to subsection 4B of NRS 482.38279. Currently, the Commission on Special License Plates may make a determination that a charitable organization receiving revenue from the sale of a special license plate is not complying with certain laws governing special license plates, and may recommend that the DMV suspend the collection of all additional fees collected on behalf of the organization and the production of its special license plate if the DMV is still producing that design. However, there is no authority for the DMV to change the status of a special license plate to be suspended with conditions or terminate the special license plate to allow a vacancy in our special plates program, which would open up a spot for another organization that has been patiently waiting. So this bill would give the ability for us to do so. We have had a case in the past where a charitable organization receiving revenue from the sale of a special license plate was not complying with certain laws governing special license plates. A suspension would give an organization time to make necessary changes, and a termination would only be necessary if they refuse to comply. So we appreciate you considering our requests, and we have several people in the room that can answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for making the presentation on this bill from the interim committee. Members, do you have any questions? For our committee secretary, I'd like to let you know that Assemblyman Ellison here is present in the meeting. And Assemblyman Ellison, you'll be first with a question.
Thank you, ma'am. And I read this bill quite close, and I know what they're trying to do. And we were on committee several years back when there was an issue. And so I'm really happy to see him bring this bill forward. And I think it's been a long time coming, but I'm sure glad it's here now. So I thank the committee for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Looks like you might get off really easy. On this one, there are a few more to get, but on this one, you might get off easy. And I thank you too for presenting the bill. The interim committee worked extremely hard, and in the last two interims found that this was a much needed and overdue change. So thank you so much. Assemblyman Wheeler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just thought of something. We actually discussed this bill the other day, Mr. Seaver, and I wanted to ask, what happens when we do a suspension to the continuing money that's coming in? Where does that go on the account? You know, say, because obviously I was very much involved in the plate that we were talking about before, the charitable organization that kind of messed things up. So what happens to that money that comes in? Does that go into the DMV account? Does it go to another charity? Where does that go when you've suspended someone and eventually, discontinue their plate?
And Chair Sean Sever, for the record, if I may have April Sanborn answer that question for me. She's right next to me.
Of course.
Good afternoon, April Sanborn, Administrator, for the record. Through you, Chair, to you, Assemblyman Wheeler. Yeah, that's a great question. So if an organization is in a suspended status, we will still continue to collect the money for that organization, but we're going to hold it in an account until we can release that suspension and then go ahead and push the money into that organization.
Assemblyman
Sorry,
Wheeler.
I was trying to type your testimony into my other thing and do it all at once here. But, okay, but what my question was, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, may I follow up? Okay, thank you. Okay, what my question was, say we go ahead and suspend that plate as we did in the instance that we're talking about here. And the money that is collected in the meantime, now we've suspended the plate and then we've discontinued the plate. Where does that money go?
Thank you. April Sanborn, Administrator for the DMV. Through you, Chair, to you, Assemblyman Wheeler. So in the event that we end up having to terminate a plate, then that money would be then distributed to the organization, the charitable organization, the remaining funds, unless, of course, there's reasons why that can't happen. Maybe that organization disbanded or there's another organizational charity that can go to. Currently, that's all within consultation with the Special Plates Commission. So if the Special Plates Commission deems that the money is to go to a certain place, that's, of course, what the department would do.
Okay, thank you, but I think we're disbanding the Special Plate Commission. So this is going to kind of give you the power to do with what you want with that money, isn't it?
No.
I believe that even if the commission is disbanded, there will still be rules and regulations in place as to what will happen with funding if a a nonprofit or agency is found to not be doing what they're supposed to be doing with the money, there will be policies put in place as to what will happen with those funds. DMV will not be able to utilize it for whatever they choose to.
No, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's what I was looking for, Madam Chair. I just
Gotcha.
get that on the record. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Assemblyman Miller.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm just curious on this, when it says certain requirements for giving the money to a different charitable organization, I just wanted to get I guess a better understanding of what those requirements would be. Are they the same requirements that the organization that, kind of faltered, met, or would there be a different set of requirements? So just want to get some clarity on what those certain requirements would be for the money to be transferred or the plate to still be collected. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. April Sanborn, Administrator for the DMV. Through you, Chair, to you, Assemblyman Miller. Yes, so the criteria is in statute for the organization. And if we did need to transfer the money to a subsequent organization, they would have to meet all of the same requirements, which are all listed in this statute here. If you want me to go through them, I can.
I don't think it's necessary. It's written
Okay.
here. So I just wanted to just be clear on that. Thank you.
Certainly. Mhm.
Members, any other questions?
Yes, ma'am, if I may.
Assemblyman Ellison?
Yeah, I typed it in, it didn't come out. I apologize, ma'am. One of the questions I do have is I understand why we're doing this and what we're going to do and where the money's going to go, but is there anything that they'll go back and ask for reimbursement of if there was a person that did misuse of funds? Is there any way that you'll go back and try to recover that, or is it just going to go by the wayside? Thank you, Madam Chair.
April Sanborn, DMV Administrator, through you, Chair, to you, Assemblyman Ellison. So, and I apologize, would you mind kind of restating the question? Because I'm not understanding it fully.
Well, if there's a misuse of funds and no matter who the organization is, but say there was a misuse of funds, is the state going to go back and try to recover them funds? Or are they just going to say, okay, we're just going to close it off right now and all money from that day forward to be going to another organization? But is somebody going to be held accountable for the misuse?
April Sanborn, DMV Administrator, to you, through you, Chair, to you, Assemblyman Ellison. I can imagine there is a process in place for that. I don't have that information right now today, but we can certainly get that for you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just think that's important to know is that might send a message to whoever down the road later on. Thank you.
So, Assemblyman Roberts.
Madam Chair, just to follow up on Assemblyman Wheeler's question. So if there is a suspension of a plate, you would immediately, from the time of suspension, no longer renew any of those plates. So really, you wouldn't collect too much more revenue that had already been collected, correct?
April Sanborn, DMV Administrator, through you, Chair, to you, Assemblyman Roberts. So the process when we are only suspending one of the plates, we will still renew a registration. We just will not be producing and issuing new plates. And so we are still collecting the revenue from the renewed registration. It is a great decrease, but we do still collect revenue.
Follow up, Madam Chair? So at what point would you not continue to renew those special plates? And so they would continue to pay the fee or whatever the donation was that went to that charity every year, despite the fact that the charity is no longer in existence or receiving money?
April Sanborn, DMV Administrator, through you, Chair, to you, Assemblyman Roberts. So when we actually terminate one of the plates, then we will continue to renew the plate and the registration for the customer, but we will no longer be collecting money for the charitable organization.
Okay. Thank you. That makes it clear. Thank you. Appreciate it, Madam Chair.
Members, any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, then I will ask our broadcast staff if we have any callers in the queue to testify in favor of Assembly Bill 150.
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 150, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in support of AB 150 at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any callers to testify in opposition?
To testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 150, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to testify in the neutral?
Testify in the neutral position on Assembly Bill 150. Please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we do not have anyone wishing to testify neutral this time.
Thank you. I will ask the presenters if they have any final comments.
Madam Chair, Sean Sever from the DMV. We don't have any final comments, but we appreciate you letting us present this bill to you today.
Thank you again for presenting, and you didn't get off as easy as I thought you would get off. So, but we thank you for so much for presenting. And with that, we will close the hearing of Assembly Bill 150, and we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 154. And I believe the presenter is in the room. Assemblyman Roberts.
Yes,
Floor is
yes, Madam
yours
Chair.
at any time.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee, for hearing this bill. With me today is Judy Stokey, representing NV Energy. I see she's on the call. Hopefully she'll unmute and join us here in a second. I would just open up with some brief comments about the bill. She brought this forward to me in the interim, looking to clean up some regulations involving notification to ratepayers. We have spoken to the PUC. They're amenable to these changes, as I believe they may testify later on as such. Ms. Stokey also has some amendment that she wants to do as we drafted this piece of legislation and got it out. There's some other things that she wanted to add to that. So I will turn it over to her. She'll go over the contents of this bill as we see today. She'll talk about the proposed amendment that we would like to do as well. And then we'll take questions if that pleases you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Assemblyman Roberts. And Ms. Stokey, welcome to Growth and Infrastructure. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman and committee members. For the record, this is Judy Stokey representing NV Energy. And yes, I did speak to Assemblyman Roberts about this bill early on. It's basically a cleanup of a bill that we have had for quite some time, at least I think 10, 15 years. And as everybody knows, technology has changed and things have, we've moved forward. So basically the bill, even though it looks long, there's not very many changes in it. We are wanting to change, allowing NV Energy to electronically communicate with all of its customers that have requested that communication. Everybody else that still wants to be on paper, they would continue to get all their communications through paper. There's been some, we have current statutes and regulations. We just want this to be explicit that we are allowed to do all of our communications electronically if that is what the customer has requested. We do have approximately 40% of our customers, that's over close to 550,000 customers that have requested to go electronic. They want to eliminate any of the paper, and I think a lot of us on this in this committee do the same thing. there are still quite a few people that want paper, and so we will continue to do that as we do now. That is the essence of the bill. The amendment has one small change. In years past, we had been requested or required to file our rate schedules and some important communications on special paper, special size, just mainly to stand out so that our our customers would be able to see it readily as soon as they open their bill. Again, a lot of our customers do not get paper bills anymore, so this communication is getting done electronically. This amendment allows us to change the parameters of that fluorescent standalone paper notice and do it in some other way that is definitely will work with the PUC, but something that we could do in bold letters. It doesn't have to be the fluorescent. Some people are saying that's hard to even read sometimes. So we're just trying to make it very clear with our customers how they want to communicate and make it as clear as possible for them. And that is the bill and the amendment.
Thank you for the presentation. I love it. It's nice and short. I have a few members with questions. I'll start off with Assemblyman Ellenson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Judy. I haven't seen you for a while and hope you're enjoying your winter. I do have a question. You know, the banks, when you go to, you refuse to go to paper and they send it out, they put a fee on there. Do you see a cost going back to the users if they don't go to the electronic version, but still have to have the paper one sent out? Is there going to be a fee associated with that?
We don't charge an additional fee to our customers that want written communication. However, the more that go electronically and the more that we can make some of these changes, that is a savings to the company as a whole, which will go back to all of our customers, whatever that savings would be.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair.
You're so welcome. Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Chair. And my question is a little bit broader in concept, I think, than what this bill narrowly gets to. But I wanted to know if you guys are doing anything to ensure that your emails are making it into people's inboxes rather than being sorted out into the spam. I know recently I've been having incredibly hard time with my spam folder on the Microsoft Suite, just eating everything, even things that I have been opening regularly for most of my my career are suddenly ending up in my spam folder. And I'm wondering if there's nothing you can do and there's no protections legally right now, is there something legally we could do to ensure that those are not getting spammed out? So sorry, this is a broader question. If we want to go offline with it, that's fine too. I just wanted to put it on the record as an issue.
Certainly. Okay. Through you, Chair, to Assemblywoman Peters, like you said, we cannot control if it's getting sent to the spam. However, we communicate with our customers regularly, weekly, if they have signed up to get their bill status sent to them. So if they do not hear from us for a while, I'm hoping that they would reach out to us. Of course, we would reach out to them if we have not heard or seen anything from them in regards to payment either, before anything would happen. So we could take it offline. I'll see what other kind of protections there are to make sure that we are communicating and that they're getting that email. And I can let you know when I look that up for you. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. I love getting my utility bills in my email. It makes it so easy to sort through and retain rather than having them in a file cabinet that I don't have room for. So I appreciate it. I just want to make sure that we're being protective of some of these spam protocols that can get a little intense and aggressive.
Thank you. I agree.
Assemblywoman Brown May.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Stokey, for that great presentation. So I am also an electronic user and only receive my bill through the email. And so in the way that it's delineated here for paper people to get their notifications on a bright colored or something that stands out, I'm curious to know, is there a plan then to send special communications separately from my bill? I'll be the first to admit I never actually read the whole bill unless there's a discrepancy or something seems to be out of the ordinary. I see what's due, I pay the bill, and then it's done, right? So is there a way to make sure I'm getting those notifications separately?
I do not believe you would be getting them separately. They should be coming through your emails if that's how you've signed up. We do not send out every notification through the mail if you have requested it to be everything be communicated electronically. We would make sure whatever that notice is, because it needs to stand out per regulations, that it would stand out in the email part of the communication to you on that notice. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Ms. Stokey, and I apologize. I probably said it in a very confusing fashion. I was curious to know if special notifications would go out by a separate email to get my attention as opposed to being included with my bill.
Again, through you, Chair, to Assemblywoman, I don't know that. I will verify. I think it goes out with your bill. These rate schedules that I'm talking about that we put on the fluorescent would typically go out with a bill. It's just a separate special filing that or a notice that we would put in your normal bill. So I believe your notification would be in your normal email, but I will verify that for you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions for Ms. Stokey or Assemblyman Roberts? Assemblyman Yeager?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. Ms. Stokey, it's good to see you. I hope I didn't miss this in the presentation. If so, I apologize, but I just wondered if you could give me an indication of what the percentage is of your clients who are actually receiving electronic bills versus paper bills.
We have approximately 40% of our customers, almost 550,000 customers have requested to go electronic.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, I'll ask our broadcast staff if they have any callers in the queue wishing to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 154.
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 154, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers testifying in support.
Thank you. Are there any callers in the queue wishing to testify in opposition of 154?
To testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 154, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 080. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, this is Susan Fisher with McDonald Carano, and I was trying to push the right buttons to get in support. I am not in opposition of the bill. I am actually in support of Assembly Bill 154. Is it all right for me to go ahead and speak? Or Madam Chair, sorry.
Yes, it's okay to go ahead.
Thank you. I'm representing today Circ Energy, which operates in the Reno area as Avalon, Nevada. It's a small geothermal company. It's a large geothermal company nationally in Nevada. Avalon is a small geothermal company that serves space heating to a little over 105 homes in the Reno area. And we appreciate the option to be able to send bills electronically or notices electronically to our customers who opt into it. We also currently have a number of our customers, most of our customers who have opted into text messaging as well for special alerts if something's going to happen or if there's going to be an interruption in service. So we appreciate NV Energy bringing this bill forward, and we appreciate the bipartisan support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Are there any other callers in the queue?
Chair, at this time, there are no other callers wishing to testify in opposition.
Do we have any callers wishing to testify in the neutral?
To testify in the neutral position, Assembly Bill 154, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we do not have any neutral callers at this time.
Thank you. So are there any final remarks from the sponsor of the bill or Ms. Stokey?
Just real quick, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Stokey. Just to note, I appreciate this bill because we receive our notices electronically, and anytime I get any mail, my wife just stacks it on the counter, and it drives me crazy. But Judy is a constituent of mine, and so she reached out to me early on this process, and so I'm honored to present a bill with one of my constituents.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Judy Stokey, for the record, I just wanted to also let you know that we have all of our notices that we put on our website. We have social media. We do a lot of other extensions of communications with all of our customers and put all those notices out there. So I'm hoping that this bill would be an easy cleanup just to help our customers and save some money.
Thank you, Ms. Stokey, for assisting in the presentation. And Assemblyman Roberts, to your wife, I apologize for him in advance for the statement that he made.
I'm just teasing. But I appreciate the committee's support and would appreciate an amendment pass if you bring this to a work session. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 154 and open the hearing on Senate Bill 17. And we will welcome back to the committee the presenters from DMV.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, committee members. Sean Sever again from the DMV for the record. And thank you for letting us present SB 17 to you today. The DMV is seeking to remove the established place of business requirement for driving schools that offer online classroom instruction. At the DMV, we are working to transform our services and offer all of them online, just like many other businesses are doing right now. So Nevadans aren't required to come into our buildings to conduct their business. This bill is part of that effort. Currently, the DMV is limited to granting licenses for the operation of schools for training drivers to those businesses that maintain an established place of business in the state. The internet has provided additional opportunities for businesses to provide services without having an established place of business where students can go from physically attending courses to taking them online. We are seeking to remove the established place of business requirement for the issuance of a license for the operation of schools that train drivers, where the classroom instruction is being provided online. The DMV also wants to clarify that the books and records of a licensee may be maintained and made available to the DMV physically or electronically. So we greatly appreciate you considering our request. And I have several people on the Zoom call this time that can help me answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Senate Bill 17? I do have one question for you. For these online driving schools, are they Nevada-based business schools that you're contracting with? Did you already have contracts with them in the works? Did you work with DMV currently that you would just be expanding as if this bill is approved?
And Madam Chair, if I could have JD Decker address that question.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. JD Decker, for the record, Administrator of the Compliance Enforcement Division. One of our tasks is overseeing the drive school certifications. Madam Chair, to answer your question, this would be an expansion of existing business in Nevada. We are talking about Nevada businesses, Nevada drive schools. When I took over CED about 3 years ago, about half of the marketplace was offering online courses. And we had three choices. One was to shut them all down because they were violating the law. Two was to allow them to continue operating in that manner in violation of the law. And three was for us to attempt to change the law to allow for that practice in the marketplace.
Thank you for that. And as far as the actual driving test, the person would still have to come to DMV for the actual driving test, correct?
JD Decker for the record. At this point in time, that is correct. This would just allow the driver training programs, the education programs to be conducted online, and for those Nevada businesses to operate without an actual brick and mortar location.
And then my last question for you before I move to another member on the committee. Can you tell us the approximate wait time for that driving test right now? I know there's long lines at DMV for other things. Are you having a backup in the wait times for the actual driving test?
JD Decker for the record. I'm going to kick that back to Sean and have someone with field possibly answer that question.
Yes, Madam Chair, Sean Sever from the DMV. We have Tanya Laney on the call as well. She can address that one.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question. Tanya Laney, Administrator of the Field Services Division for the record. When you were speaking of the testing, you're speaking of the actual drive test itself at the DMV, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. We are right now, we're right on the cusp of seeing just about where we were pre-COVID times. So we feel like we are almost through the backlog of individuals that were not able to get in for the short amount of time that we were closed due to the COVID pandemic. And we are booking out, depending on the office location, on average about 30 days right now, which is where we were prior to the pandemic.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Now we have two other members with questions, Assemblyman Ellenson, and then we'll go to Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm so happy to see another thing go online to help move the lines. I got a couple little tiny questions. I'm so in favor of shortening lines down. It's exciting. But two questions. Have you ever thought about maybe going to private enterprise to help do some of the driver's tests, if they're licensed and bonded, to help shorten that down for you guys? Do you ever look at that? That's my first question. The second question, how do you know who's actually taken the test online? How do you do that?
Madam Chair, if I could have JD Decker address this question. Sean Sever for the record.
JD Decker for the record. In answer to your second question, Assemblyman Ellison, the schools, when a student completes the course of instruction, the schools provide them with certification that they then provide to the DMV prior to testing, a practical test with the DMV. As far as your first question, I would prefer that Tanya Laney answer that, but I do know that we have considered that. I'm not exactly sure where we are in the process, although Tanya might be able to speak to that.
Follow up, Madam Chair.
Would you like to hear from Ms. Laney on that to answer that question before your follow-up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you again. For the record, Tanya Laney, Administrator of the Field Services Division. To answer the last question, as far as looking at outsourcing the ability to do the drive test, that is something that we are actively exploring right now. We have had discussions that this would not replace the drive test that the DMV currently offers. We would like to look for partners to bring on board to offer the test in addition to the DMV staff. But that is something that we are actively looking into at this time.
Okay. And one of the questions I ask about, how do you know who's taken the test? You got a lot of seniors that don't go to school and they don't go take special classes. So how do they come in and log in? And how do you know that they're who they are. You might have a Jim Wheeler calling in.
JD Decker for the record. Assemblyman Ellison, to answer your question, I'm going to assume that you're talking about the course of instruction that the licensed drive schools are certifying, and it would be their job to provide the certification to establish the person's identity. That they use their ID documents, whatever they currently have, to establish their identification before they register them for a course of instruction, and then the certification that they issue is done on forms that the department accepts, including the verification of identity.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. I'm in strong favor of you doing this, and Madam Chair, and I really hope you guys look at an alternate way to get help in there that will try to help slow some of these lines down in the DMV. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Seaver and staff for the presentation. I'm looking back in my notes, and I believe on February 9th, when we received a presentation from Ms. Butler, there was extensive conversation and discussion about the possibility of contractors helping out with not just providing training, but also doing the testing for drivers. And while on the surface that seems like a great idea, I think that I'm curious as to whether or not you have the staff who can monitor and these outside agencies. Do you have project managers on staff who would be responsible for monitoring the activity of these contractors to ensure that they are complying with your standards, that they are administering the test in an appropriate manner, both the online test and the physical test, the driving test, if you all go with that model? Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could have JD Decker address that. This is Sean Sever, DMV.
JD Decker for the record. To answer your question, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, the division, Compliance Enforcement Division does have staff who review and approve course curriculum, and then attend and audit the actual presentations. We audit the drive school records occasionally to make sure that they're identifying students and that they're properly training them and then processing the paperwork to us. So the division does do audits. In 2019, we were authorized a program officer position specifically to beef up our driver training auditing program so that we could make sure that we know driver education is a important topic. And so we asked for a person, we got it. And so we've had great success with making sure that all of the curriculum is reviewed, all of the files are audited, and we assume that to the extent if we went to a driver testing program where we contracted out, that the staff that was freed up in not conducting testing themselves and also our driver education auditors would ensure that those tests were being conducted in accordance with regulation and DMV standards.
Thank you. Madam Chair, follow-up question, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So this looks like there could be an opportunity, a burgeoning business opportunity for Nevada businesses, and we already have the shortage of small and minority-owned businesses with opportunity. Are you all going to try and ensure that those folks who take advantage of this are truly our local businesses, either in the north or the south? What is your plan to really support businesses within the state of Nevada, as opposed to opening this up to people outside the state that could possibly take opportunities from our local small businesses?
JD Decker for the record. Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman. The first thing I would say is that this bill would allow about half of our marketplace currently in Nevada for driver education to fall within the law. Currently, anybody who offers online courses is technically violating the law. We did not want to shut down those businesses and impact the marketplace negatively. Hence this bill, in order to change the law and allow them to be operating within. We would love to see more businesses, more Nevada businesses start drive schools. We think there's a demand. That would be a marketplace issue, but I think that this bill would make it more attractive for people who don't want to outlay the capital to rent a location and start an actual brick and mortar business. This would allow Nevadans, and you are required to be Nevadan and get a Nevada business license to operate a drive school business in Nevada. So we think that this would make it more attractive to start a drive school.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification, if I may.
Of course.
Just because a business has a license in the state of Nevada does not mean that that business is based in Nevada. Is that correct?
JD Decker for the record. That is correct. Different jurisdictions have different requirements for offering a business license, but they would have to have a license through their local jurisdiction and through the DMV in Nevada and pay the appropriate fees in order to operate a school.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Just a comment. I would really be encouraged if there was a line somewhere in this bill that gave Nevada businesses, people who are actually in our state who make Nevada home, where home is Nevada to them, to be able to have priority so that we can work on the diversification and support of our own economic engine within our state. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you. This is Assemblywoman Brown May. I apologize. I just have one clarifying question relative to this. Anyone who contracts with the division to operate a drive school, is that considered a state contract?
JD Decker for the record. We regulate drive schools, but we don't contract with them. So these are independent operators that are operating their own businesses that we regulate. So we don't provide driver training or contract through a state contract with any school to provide that training. We just regulate the ones that do.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. See no other questions. We'll ask for our broadcast staff. Do we have any callers in the queue wishing to testify in support of Senate Bill 17?
Testify in support of Senate Bill 17. Please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to testify in support.
Thank you. Do we have any callers to testify in opposition?
To testify in opposition of Senate Bill 17, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition.
Thank you. Do we have any callers in the queue to testify in neutral?
To testify in the neutral position on Senate Bill 17, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to testify in neutral.
Thank you so much. So I will ask the sponsor of this bill, do you have any final comments?
I just wanted to, Sean Sever from the DMV for the record, just wanted to thank everyone for hearing our bill today. And we will be following up with Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong on her request as well. But thank you all.
Thank you. And that will close the hearing on Senate Bill 17. And don't go too far because we will open the hearing, our final hearing of the day, for Senate Bill 29. And welcome back, DMV. You can start as soon as you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Sean Sever again from the DMV. And thank you for letting us present SB 29 to you today. The DMV is seeking to partner with third parties to process salvage titles, which is a form of vehicle title branding that notes that a vehicle has been damaged or deemed a total loss by an insurance company that has paid a claim on it. As I said in the last bill, DMV is working to transform our services and offer all of them online, just like many other businesses are doing right now. So Nevadans aren't required to come into our offices. And this bill is part of that effort as well. The DMV had to close our doors approximately 2 months last summer due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we were unable to process salvage titles, along with many of other services. Industry representatives have offered to partner with the DMV in the review and processing of salvage titles. Currently, the DMV has authority for this type of partnership in NRS chapters 481 and 482, but not in chapter 487. Industry representatives currently partner with other jurisdictions in handling and processing salvage titles. So the DMV seeks to allow third-party companies the ability to produce salvage titles in a manner similar to the authority granted in Chapter 481 for the issuance of temporary permits and in Chapter 482 for the issuance of regular titles. This bill would give the DMV the authority to work with third parties on developing a program. We would still have to do workshops and develop regulations. So we greatly appreciate you considering our request, and we have several people in the room with me and on the Zoom call that can help answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. You've answered the first question that I had, and that was about the training for these outside agencies. Members, do you have any questions? Assemblyman Wheeler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I noticed this question actually is for legal. I'm noticing here on this bill that it denotes a required 2/3 majority vote. And I don't see anything in here that actually changes any of the fees or redirects any of the fees or anything like that. So if legal could tell me why in the world this requires a 2/3 vote, I'd appreciate it.
And Mr. Wheeler, I will have to have our legal representative for our committee get back to you. Unfortunately, she is not in our committee today, but I will have her answer that, and I'll have her send the answer to the entire committee.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Mr. Ellingson.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry to be a pain, but it's good to have the questions asked now. I was pretty happy to see that when it passed the Senate was 21-0. And so I went through this bill really good, and then I did get to talk to DMV. But one of the problems that we're having during the COVID, if you bought a car in auction, it would automatically come out as a title that was from, that it was damaged, salvage title. And they said that they were going to try to straighten a lot of this up once they get this thing open. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, if I can have April Sanborn answer this question. Sean Sever from the DMV.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, April Sanborn, DMV Administrator. Through you, Chair, to you, Assemblyman Ellison. So as far as when a vehicle is sold at auction, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to end up with a salvage title. It's only if it meets the requirements of non-repairable as such. They could certainly sell a car at auction that doesn't meet those requirements.
All right, thank you, ma'am. And I'm glad you said that, but I did buy a 47 Willys Jeep, and it run. We started off, drove it off, and there was nothing wrong with it. And then we tore it down to restore it anyway, but it come back as a salvage title, and it was cleared title apparently when it was sent. So that's why I asked that question. So thank you.
Members, any other questions for the presenters? All right, seeing none, I will ask our broadcast staff if we have anyone in the queue calling in the support of Senate Bill 29.
To testify in support of Senate Bill 29, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 360, please press star 6 to unmute. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes and may begin.
Hi, this is Dick Mills, and I'm the owner of 3 automobile wrecking yards in the state of Nevada. And we in the automobile wrecking industry experience the same problems as the salvage pools getting salvage titles issued, and especially during the closure of COVID. And SB 29 is a much needed bill for both the salvage pools and the automobile wrecking yards. As a member of the Nevada Advisory Board on Automotive Affairs, we voted at our February 25th meeting to support SB 29. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 546. Please press star 6 to unmute. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes and may begin.
Hello, and thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Mark Bender, B as in boy, INDER, and I'm with Copart Auto Auctions. I'm the Director of Government Affairs, and we have locations in Reno and Nevada. Excuse me, Reno and Las Vegas in Nevada. We've got a really good relationship with the Nevada DMV, and we really are thankful for their hard work and efforts on this bill, and especially during the stressful time of the pandemic, as we can all agree, it's been tough. We look at them as an industry partner, and I really believe, or Copart really believes, that Senate Bill 29 is a partnership and allows the salvage auctions to participate in a very low impact title processing in a secure environment, and it protects our customers, and it also does not decrease the revenue of the state. I wanted to point out that the state will still receive the same revenue for all the title processing, yet they will be losing the labor cost involved of processing titles. That would fall on the entities that will be doing this title transfers, and the goal is, from talking with the DMV, is that these resources will be used for better customer service impact. So they will be helping customers. The processing of the title work staff will be shifted to another duty, is what we've been advised. So it's not a reduction in staffing. This concept is actually mirrored by other states surrounding Nevada. Utah, Arizona, California all participate in this, and I think Arizona has since the 90s, so it's been a well-established process. And regionally, New Mexico also has a similar process to what's being requested. So we appreciate your time, and I'm willing to answer any questions you have, and I thank you for consideration on Senate Bill 29.
Thank you so much for your comments and the information about the surrounding states and the changing policies. We have a next caller in support.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 725. Please press star 6 to unmute. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, this is Andrew McKay, ANDREW, MACKAY. I'm the Executive Director of the Nevada Franchised Auto Dealers Association. I think for brevity, I echo precisely what Mr. Bender just put on the record moments ago. But I would also be remiss if I just didn't let the committee know that working with DMV there, just like Copart, we view them as a partner. They're wonderful to work with, and specifically on this bill, because of hopefully free up some of the work on the salvage titling end, they'll be able to divert resources to other things as well that'll actually help improve as they constantly improve their customer service process, which again, they do a great job for our dealer members. So we fully support this measure. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Do we have any other callers in support for SB 29?
Caller with the last three digits of 971. Please press *6 to unmute. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Park, Kevin Park. I'm the Government Affairs for Insurance Auto Auctions. I appreciate the opportunity, Madam Chair and committee members, to just echo what you've already heard, especially the information from Mark Bender with Copart. He and I work very closely together. And this is a much anticipated bill, a change if it will pass. The one thing I would add to this is the fact that in addition to everything else, there is a quicker turnaround time frame of getting vehicles that I apologize, I don't remember which one member of the committee had purchased a vehicle at one of these auctions, but the faster we can obtain titles, turn these vehicles around, auction them back out, the quicker the used car market there in the state of Nevada is able to get these vehicles and get them out to the people that need them, get them repaired, or even the companies that use them for parts, that they can tear them down and get the parts back out there into the economy, hopefully raise an additional tax revenue for the state. I appreciate your willingness to look at this bill and look forward to hopefully see it pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other callers on the line for SB 29 in support?
Chair, we have no more callers in support of SB 29 at this time.
Thank you. Do we have any callers wishing to offer testimony in opposition?
To testify in opposition of Senate Bill 29, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition.
Thank you. Do we have any callers who are in neutral on this measure on the line?
Testify in the neutral position on Senate Bill 29. Please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in neutral.
Thank you. Do we have any final comments from DMV on this measure?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair. Sean Sever from the DMV. We greatly appreciate you hearing this bill today, and we also appreciate our partners helping us out. The DMV needs a lot of help right now, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being so timely with this presentation. My committee will forgive me for Tuesday. That brings us to the last item on our agenda for today, and that is public comment. So I will ask our BPS staff if we have anyone in the queue for public comment, and if not, we'll wait just a minute or two to give people time to call in.
To offer public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no one wishing to testify in public comment at this time.
Thank you so much. Well, members, that concludes today's meeting. I thank all of our presenters, committee, and our broadcast staff, and the members of the public who were able to join us here virtually today. The next meeting for the Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure will be on Tuesday, March 9th at 1:30 p.m. I wish you all a wonderful day.